Good evening. As you know who I am Mr. Tacpans, also known as Ron, Ronnie, Ronald, and Raphael. I want to show you a bunch of things. It might start off slow, but it will. I definitely think it might get interesting because I've been interested in this for the last 6 hours that I've worked on it. To show you a book. Now, if you see it closer, take a look at that crown. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 8 and 8 is 16, and 9 is 25. Look at them, they look like sevens. And then you see on the outside in the blue, it looks like sevens. Okay, 7, 7, 7, 7, 28 days in the month. And if you look at the center, it looks like there's an eye with a dot on the top. Anyways, if you look at more of the book, maybe I can put it this way. You see the 4 for perfect man, 4 for the 4 ways, 4 directions, 4 the middle day of the week of the month, or of the week, I'm sorry. Now what I have to talk to you about is, somebody bought me a little present, and I'm going to try and show you what it is. It's a Superman sign on one side. Now remember what it looks like, the Superman sign, okay? Because it's used other places. And on the other side, you can see what it is. It's Rubik's Cube with a little bit of a lightning bolt. Now what I want to show you tonight is I'm going to show you the picture that I'm going to read off. Okay? Now it starts off with that big fancy T, truth. Somebody asked me what is the name of God, and I told them truth, because truth is what we must live by. Therefore his name must be repeated on and on. Now the T of the truth equals the power and the God. The R of the truth equals the rule, and God runs the rules. The U equals to you and me. Then there's the U. If you flip it upside down, it's an N. Okay, it's not only a U, it's an N. Then we get to the T, which is a smaller T, and that's what Jesus was hung by, because God was the big T for truth, and Jesus was a little T for truth. But for Jesus, he came to earth, he needed the trust. And the H is to finalize what the truth is. It's for heaven and hell. The better understanding, when you look at the T and you just run the lines, it's a Superman sign. Also, if you take a look at that T right next to it in blue, there's an empty space in the center separating the two sides that look like the Twin Towers. Now I have to turn this up a little bit, and if you see a little bit lower down, when you turn that mug and dub it in half, it looks like a boat. It also seems to remind me of Napster. I don't know why. Now I'm turning this around just so I can see what else I have to say. The green equals the heart of life. Okay? But anyways, no, this is not what I want to say. If you take the H off a heart and move it to the back of the heart, it'll be E-A-R-T-H, which is earth. But with the H in the front of the earth and taking it away from the end of the earth, it becomes a heart. Together, earth and heart means life. Now, we go to the bottom of this. I don't know if you can see it. It's trust. Now, if I put the letters together, I want to show you what it looks like on another page. You see this, the way it's made? The T, the R, the U, the S, and the T. Well, the S looks like a P, okay? The R is actually part of a D and part of a V, okay? Now, what we have to remember is that once we do this, and I play with the letters upside down, the king is up, king tut is us, the rust of the thrut, also the small t. If you take a look at the outline of it, it's a stop sign. Stop! So you must trust, and we must trust with truth. Now it equals the son of Jesus, or Jeshua, the end of je, which is I in French, Tishana, or Rosh Hashanah. So we start with that. We ended up with this page over here. Okay? And what we get out of it is the letters that are inside the letters. Okay? We have the R, which equals a D and an O. And the bottom part of it here is the V. Okay? And then we have a Y, which is here and here upside down. That would say Dopey or Rodney. My name is Ronnie. Now you also have to remember the French, okay, for the E is Grek for the Y, I mean. So Greek must have been first. For the E world is the Greek. The U and the N. The U in trust is U, but if you reverse it upside down, it becomes the N. It becomes the UN. Or if you put the U after the N, it becomes new or pure or new. The S, if you break it down, has two C's or tussy, or CC's or over on the page, and we come up with this sign here. This sign here is a two E's or C's upside down on top of each other, looking like two E's. And when you reverse those two E's and put them together, it equals a 9 and a 6, 96. 9 and 6 is 15 for the three stories, or the middle of the grid for God, the angel, and man, all on earth. So you see, I took something and turned it into something else, but now I want to show you something else. Can you see this? This originally started off as the crossroads for Jesus and his death. I bubbled it up, and when I fold it in half, it's a crown. Or a pointer. The black looks like a pointer. Where am I? The black looks like a point. The top part here looks like the crown. It's not that hard to figure out. It just takes a little bit of work. So whoever wants to know the real name of God, since the letters work out and they explain themselves, we must trust the truth. And if we're trusting the truth, then who is the truth? God becomes a name never forgotten. For when we go to court and put our hand on the Bible, the question that comes to us is, will you tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So therefore it repeats, will you tell God, all of God, the whole God, and nothing but God? Do you or I do? Like a vow in marriage, I do, I will tell the truth. Truth equals to God. You cannot give any other name because every other name has a different effect. And we all know that when you have truth, you have the passage and you have the marker of the back roads because of the Greeks who came first. And after that, why I said the Greeks are first, so we can see our steps backwards. The Arab is the heir of man who wears the hat to block out the bad words that come from all man. Muslim, muzzle on a dog to keep him shut. Muzzle or muzzle tough in Hebrew for muzzle tough, congratulations. You see, the Jew was fourth because it was very simple. Since the game of life is based on T-ball, because it's the easiest game to play at the beginning, we all have to remember that we were given everything on a silver platter, and we just put money on that platter, and the silver we sold, so we had nothing left. And the truth of everything was, it was money. When someone talks to me about money, I get so moody and aggravated. I ask them nicely, please do not talk about money. Do not talk about my family, for the reason that they're disarranging my thinking in order to transmit the message of the understanding the way I see it. You see as you see. I tell you and show you my story. You listen if you are still here and understand it through your mind. And what you don't understand and we discuss is the difference equaling to the three of. And anyways, we're going to switch the party now, and we're going to go on to something else, which happens to be with the, let me find this on my paper, what happens to be with the Hebrew and Gregorian calendar. That for the first time, at least that I can calculate, I've looked all over the net, it's a leap year in 2011 and the end of 2010, which ended on the 18th, which was a Sabbath, and 18 is tied. What happened is the Jewish year is 16 months, and it goes all the way up till September of 2011. Thus, the 16 and the 9 is 25, and the day of birth of Jesus. Or, it's the 5 work weeks, the 25 days of work. Now, if you want to double that up, you can have 50 for the golden eagle, depending on how you want to look at it. But remember, the Gregorian calendar matches the Hebrew calendar in the year of the Twin Towers, 2011. 1 and 1, 1 and 1 is 2. 1 minus 1 is nothing. How do you calculate your ones and how I calculate my ones is the difference between who you are and who I am. And it is your life, and you can decide to do with your life as you please. And I decide to do with my life as I please. Yet, implicated in between our lives are rules and regulations that we must follow. And if we follow them, the path will be clear and the lights will be on, and we'll see our way home. One of the other things I wanted to talk about tonight was, again, I'm talking about the moon. Now you see, when you spend this time, have a cigarette somewhere? Let me get a cigarette. I don't want to take a break, so I'm not going to move. I think it's in my computer. Okay, So what was I talking about now? The moon. The moon. Does anybody see this cigarette? See the way it shines out and you can't actually see it? Well, that's the way the sun burns, and we didn't get a sunburn, and that's the way the stars burn. But if you look at the Earth on a satellite, okay, there's no reflection, there's no exterior shine. The reason for that is the AT, transmission of angel, Moses, the Moses of sphere, the Earth, sphere. There's no reflection up the satellite. Now, if you take the satellite and just forget about it and look up at the moon, no reflection. Meaning, there's something that blocks the reflection, calling it the atmos of all, and it's the fear of all. There is somebody that fears the moon. One of the reasons, first of all, to get to Mars, it takes 17 years, and Mars doesn't shine, and what we have seen on video has straight lines. Anything with straight lines is blown in the wind. But on the moon, we have craters. Craters go down. And if you notice the lips, the only way to have the lips is some sort of solar heat that came in and caused the ice to melt, dropping the part of the Earth. Therefore, there must be water on the moon. And that's why Shom FM plays the dark side of the moon, because we only see the bright side of the moon. The rest we don't see. And if we get a telescope, whatever's out there in Google or YouTube or wherever it is, we can't actually see two sides of the moon. Otherwise, we'd have to be having 25 cameras to see every angle. So the moon must have atmosphere. 50 years ago, they could have put a plastic on top of it like they do. There's some countries where there's no water and no drilling. So they take plastic and screens, they put them together to create and capture the humidity to drop. So if we go to the moon, and I know there's a lot of rich people out there, and you can go to maybe Iran or Iraq or Egypt. There's no rules on whether or not you can go to the moon. There's no restricted regulations, but there is stipulations. In another part of the country we call the North Amer. Amer means bad taste or sour. Eek. Eek. Eek is a deadly thing in the fish tank. But eek is the I world, and the QUE happens to be the ass. So it's a sour ass, American, or when we are the white people. The moon has an atmos of all, and everybody is feared because of the moon. We believe, or I believe, because of the nickel on the Earth that's used to make every other metal, that the moon must have nickel on it in order for it to shine. Otherwise, if it was dead and had no life, it wouldn't shine. The moon is the second sun. The moon is the second sun that shines because we're not on it. But if we go on it and we put out some plastic, the rays from the sun breaking through the atmosphere will heat up under there, breaking down the water particles, and we'll be able to grow something in the coolness of what it is. We'll go down to wherever we have to go, to where we find it cold, and we'll take that plant and plant it first. And eventually, as the plants grow and grow and grow, the atmosphere and the ozone layer grows, where there's nothing to kill it because the moon is now pure. You see, we can fill up those craters with our tractors, but first we have to grow the trees. The trees of life is what is going to redo and renew a new Earth. We will call it Moon Earth, or Earth Moon, or Earthy, or Moony. Or everybody's Mr. Booty or Mr. Moony. And we're all going to have a ball, because we're laughing like a ball, because it's Lucille. The seal is the cry, because I'm letting it out for you to know. I'm not a scientist, but it doesn't take jackhammers to figure out what's happening up there. I took a nickel and a penny and I threw it in water for the last 6 months. The penny grew, and the nickel kept reflecting, so I put a heavy light on it and it reflected just like the moon. Then I covered it up with something, so the shine wouldn't go everywhere, and the shine was blocked, therefore leaving a cover at most. Some people fear. They fear the truth because all everybody thinks about is the cash. Holy moly, holy moles for holy moly, because the moles are the holes on the moon. That's truth. Remember the words of the Greeks. Moses said, Moses, move the cow along, move the people along. Moses told a story and never split the seas, because the miracle of God would be too great, then we lose the path and the understanding, and we never learn about life. Why will it happen in 2012? Well, guess what? We're covered in people around the world calling it the national